That's a good thing. The meeting is now streaming live on Facebook. Let's see if it's telling us the truth because Sean, I'll have to get that name right one of these days. I'll go on here to see if it's working. And it is lovely to see you.
And you, Joe.
And this has been like, as I was just saying, here we go. I'll put that on the live captions in English for her. Seanin, my love, it's so nice to see you, and thank you for agreeing to do this.
You're very welcome. I'm
I
just
think,
milking the cows, you see.
oh
Joe.
yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, when Irish eyes are smiling, this is no shit. This for the last 2 days, I've had that playing in my head, right? And I always know what that associates with, but the other one, yet she's a fine, big, strong lump of an agricultural Irish girl. She neither paints the powders and the figure is all her own. Yet she can hit that hard. You think it's the kick of the mule you got. The full of your arms of Irish love was Mary Ann Malone. See, I was brought up with all that stuff. Right. And my brother Sylvester, he's got a row of 40 medals on his chest, big chest, you know, all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
No wonder I drank.
Very close connection between Strabane and Liverpool too. There's an awful lot of ones from my home that like have moved over there, and it's been happening for years.
I've put a picture in the background here of the beautiful Emerald Isle. This is the West Coast, actually, you know, the wild West Coast.
Yes.
I've been there a few times myself because half of my family come from County Mayo and the other half come from the Dublin area, really. So, yeah, so Southern Ireland. I mean, people get mixed up between what's Northern Ireland, what's Southern Ireland, what's Eyre and all that. It makes no odds to me.
No, same.
So I haven't done a live for a while because I've been too busy with stuff, you know, because there's such a lot of things going on.
Yes.
And things do seem to be quickening up, you know, almost as if this time was almost prophesied, right, by indigenous tribes across the planet. Some people call this the great shift in consciousness, you know, and when I first heard about this, which was quite a long time ago, I thought, what a load of old bollocks. I don't think that anymore because I know that we're in a great big change, a paradigm shift where the planet's changing and all the inhabitants of planet Earth are being changed, whether they like it or not. Have you got any comments on that at all?
Enormous amounts. I've been getting piece by piece from a good couple of months ago. I got a very, very big picture of what was ahead, and I thought, do you know what? That's bollocks. I'm just making it up, right? And then slowly but surely, things that I had been shown started to happen. And over the last wee while, with people I've connected to and readings, there are pieces coming in that are related to their personal circumstance that are actually globally affected. Like I'd been shown that capitalism will collapse, is on its way out, that the church will collapse. There'll be various, not ministries, but schools that will open up around the planet that are galactically supported. And it's all very much about healing, nature, dance, music, body reconnection. And I was talking about this like a couple of months ago, the idea of reconnecting and reforming the self from the inside. And it's simply, the message simply is loving each other and loving ourselves best way we can, and finding ways to do that that are conscious and present. And from what I've been doing with individuals, it seems they're all positioned at different places right now, and they all have certain roles to play that are attributing to this vision that I've seen. It's already happened. This is the message I've gotten. The transformation has already occurred. Mama Gaia has already taken over. It's just the old needs time to fall away. And it happens internally first in the body system. And over the next couple of days, next week and a half, especially for those with very big roles to play, there are going to be compromises offered, right? There'll be things come in where they're saying, right, you can have this if you do this, but that compromise will keep you locked in the old reality and is actually undermining you and not giving you your divine inheritance. Now, there's an enormous amount of people who are involved in the changing of the guard, right? And the changing of the guard is where the old spiritual and the old political factions, all of that is starting to crumble as well, because it was patriarchal and hierarchically led, right? And that's coming off. And what's now going to happen is that those who are I kept hearing, blessed are the meek, for ye shall inherit the earth. So those that have served from a place of down to earth gentleness and have that gentleness within them, or have had life contort that gentleness out of them, they're being hammered pretty hard right now for a reason, so they can return to their true nature. And this word is very important, true nature. That phrase for me is very important, and it's something to do with what I'll be doing in the future. But I feel very deeply that this reordering requires choice. And we have to respect each and every person's free will choice, but we've got to understand that there's an inheritance available to each of us that has worked under the radar and in darkness for a long time, right? And that inheritance is about to land in really strongly, and it's fast track. And I've been taking people up through their fast track so they can lift into the new reality. And returning to our true nature is essential. But if we accept a compromise that is still of the old world, that denies our gentleness, that denies love, that denies compassion for all beings on this planet, that does not honor the soul above all things, then we will be choosing an old world, and the only thing that we will experience is our own suffering. We will choose a reality that is not the truth, and we will deny ourselves the blessings that are waiting for us. The big problem here, Joe, is a lack of understanding or availability for, in the mind, the mind of the human, miracles. What's happening right now, and I was told, is that it's divine intervention. There is a creator God, right? But there are also galactics, and there is also human consciousness, and there is divine within. All of that exists. Where we have gotten disconnected from creator God, there's a big push now to remind ourselves of this. And there is an intervention happening, and it has already begun. And all of this is feminine related, but it's the feminine and masculine balance within that allows it to come through. I got shown this morning with someone I was working with who's a galactic and had no idea. And one of the big things for those of us that are awakening now is that we've struggled with self-doubt because we've been hammered with that for years. And that was a program, and that was also the plan. And we're actually getting stuff chucked at us at the minute, so we're needing to clear constantly. Like, I don't know how many weird things I had to pull off myself yesterday and then threw up everywhere, right? To try and stop us from moving into this new reality together. But it can't be stopped unless we choose it, unless we deny our true nature. And it's about getting real with ourselves and taking responsibility for our own healing. Now, as I said, I was speaking to someone this morning, and she asked me about the white rose. And I saw the white rose having a lock over it, and then seeing the key in the heart, right? Over the next week and a half, for all of us who are, and it's everybody, right? We're all called for this transformation, this shift. The key will be released, and it's the undisturbed, undeniable purity of love. It's the divine mother, it's the divine feminine inside of all beings, and that's being released out of us slowly. But we have to allow love to move through us and choose from love, and have a greater faith in the miraculous and in that intervention than is possible for us in the right now, because the mind will try and tell us different. The mind will try and construct a reality based on old world idea and old world education, right? Which is basically, we have to perfect ourselves using knowledge and ideas and facts, and trying to create a reality or a future based on something much, much smaller than what the universe is trying to give us, right? I've been shown things to do with teleportation, time travel. I've been shown a star appearing in the sky, a very, very big one, a North Star, right? And that everybody will see, right? And it'll be in the physical, it'll be a physical manifestation of a miracle. And there will be miracles like this happening all over the world for us to see it. This is all relating back to the Essenes and the Cathars, right? And a correction of the Catholic Church, right? And that's something I've been angry about for a long time. And Joe, it's been driving me bloody mad, because I'm having these thoughts in my head for months and months, and then people are talking about it in videos. And I'm like, can we not be talking about my thoughts? Right? And there was like some nonsense about a cult starting. There will be no cult starting, right? We're just recreating the world from what we already know to be true. And yes, there will be factions, there will be educational centers, and there will be all of that. But it's because it's been waiting a long time, and there is no hierarchy in it. Like, it's an energy of human, divine, and I have to put it that way, human first, divine after, right? Because we were designed to bring this down to earth in our human form. And that's what's been coming through. And I've ranted, so I'll stop.
Not a rant. We've got no time left. Anyway, lovely to see you. Goodbye. Well, yes, I'll just say to that, yes, I agree. Because you know that I do. And, for a long time, we've both been associated and working along the same line, which is associated with the sacred feminine energy. And when I first started on this, I didn't understand, but I see that it's almost a role that was assigned me, probably by me, in order to bring this information forward as well. And I do it in a sense, in a biomedical sense, talking about the vagus nerve, and the vagus nerve is the feminine nerve. And it's also, there's a posh word coming up here. It's also associated with something called the trophotropic response. And trophotropic means simply to nurture. And that's what we've lost, Seanin. You mentioned caput, you mentioned capitalism, and caput means head. So we've been dominated by the head and materialism and patriarchal thinking for a long time. But we've also been very subtly, and sometimes not so subtly, programmed into lack of self-worth and basically slavedom. So there are within our human systems, we have all these programs running in response to pattern matching. So I know this at a very deep level, because I'll ask you a very simple question. How do you know when you're living from the heart and not being conned by the head? I'm not trying to catch you out or anything. I'm just trying to ask you to help other people, really.
There's joy in your heart.
Yeah. And I think that's the only way forward. But I think where I was for many, many years, most people talk about they want out-of-body experiences. Most people are already out of their body. They just need to get back into their body and get their feet back on the ground. I'm only saying this because it's been my experience that I was off my head and out of my head for basically all of my life, until I came to a catastrophe or two, which made me and forced me to look inside rather than looking outside for answers. And my job now is, and I would just suggest, based on my experiences, don't look outside for expert answers. By all means, listen to everything that people have got to say, but allow it to be filtered through your open and flowing heart. And then just say to your heart, what is the correct information for me? And please give me the courage to act upon it. And here's something I've learned that I was told a long time ago, or taught, or whatever. And I'm still only scratching the surface of this understanding myself. But I was taught, if you don't know what to do, Joe, don't do anything, right? Until you know what to do. Well, how will I know what to do? Because you will feel it from the depths. And it's really, really that simple. Living from the heart means to live with your feelings and be aware of your feelings. All right, because it's feelings that determines thinking, that determines choices, that determines the quality or the lack of quality of your life. And I agree entirely with what you've just said, is miracles are happening more and more and more and more. But if you're distracted away from it with all these things like Netflix and Prime and everything else, it's a setup really to get you looking outwards instead of looking inwards. And I like a little phrase, a little catchy one, because I like these, is if you don't go within, you'll go without, right?
Yeah.
And that to me means everything. So go on then, you'll go.
See, with me, right, what kept me trapped for a very long time is that I have been through everything that a woman can be through. And because of that, because of the contrast in my reality between what I was in truth and what I had been put through, I believed the external impression. And it made me feel not good enough. It made me feel like I had to fix myself in order to become more, not understanding that the purity of my heart and the soul that I have is all that can be seen by God.
Yeah.
And that soul, that heart is powerful. And what happens to those who have been through all things is that they do not have a love of power, because absolute power corrupts absolutely, right? You shall know them by their fruit. You know these people, right, who have been through all things, because they become embodied gods. Because when they choose love despite all that they have been through, They can create new realities in powerful, incredible ways. And you're not unfamiliar with this, like, right? So it's very, very valuable for all of us to drop the idea of perfectionism, to drop the idea of sin, of wrongness, or that we are not made perfect for exactly what is presented to us, because we are, but that perfection exists in our innocence that has always been and has always been seen. And I think that's very frightening for a lot of people, to recognize and honor their hearts above all things when their heads are telling them very different and their realities are telling them very different and their pasts are telling them very different. That doesn't matter.
Yeah.
In fact, that knowledge, having walked that walk, can make someone incredibly powerful indeed. The level of compassion and love that you can hold for all factions of society, whatever gender, if you've taken those experiences, the way that you will be utilized as a tool for the divine on this planet is insurmountable, because your love can envelop the whole world then. It can envelop the whole world then.
I agree. So is what you're saying is we have to let go of all old ideas, all emotions, all attitudes, the very formative forces of our life up to this moment. We've got to jettison them all and let go absolutely.
Yep.
I said a prayer many, many years ago. Here it comes now. It's back. It's in the back of my head now. It's here now. And I'm not a religious person, but when I went through this process, it changed my life. And the person who was guiding me through this, and by the way, a guide is somebody who points you back to yourself, to your own heart. He doesn't tell you what to do or give advice other than what you're looking for is already within you, right?
Yeah.
Look within, because if anyone tells you, buy my package because I know, and this is the fast track way to divinity and all that, just tell them to F off, basically. That's my suggestion. But I said this prayer and it goes like this. My creator, whatever that means, I am now willing that you should have all of me, both good and bad. I pray that you now remove from me every single defect of character which stands in the way of my usefulness to you and my fellows. Please grant me strength as I go out from here to do your bidding. Seanin, that night, something very, very powerful happened to me. I got see, it's back with me now. In fact, I virtually feel like crying again now. So this is how it comes up. Now, I went home that night under the guidance of a person who was called my sponsor. And he said, just sit down, Joe, right, when you go home, and just sort of sink into your heart and try and reflect upon what's just happened to you. And I thought, I couldn't really understand what he was saying because I was in this like sort of weird feeling. So I went home, I sat at home. I was living by myself at the time. I sat on the bed. I just had a small light on, and I sort of sunk into my heart. And this is no shit, this, right? This voice said to me, and it was like a voice outside of me, inside of me, and it went, Joseph. And I thought, fucking hell, we love you, right? And I said, that's very, very nice, thank you. Right, F off and come back in the morning when it's light, right? And Seanin, I went into such a deep sleep, right, and woke up the next day in a completely different world. Now, the world itself hadn't changed, but my perspective and my perception of the world had changed. And that was the start, if you like, of me walking a different sort of a way, And I think that that's what we've got to do, really. From my experience, people are having their hearts mashed and broken now. Their hearts are being broken on purpose by the shift in consciousness that's coming in. Some people have called this the truth vibration,
Yeah.
and that's what I feel that it is. It's the truth of what it's really like is coming in to highlight how we've not been living like that. That this isn't becoming a good person. It's becoming living to your own specific, unique frequency at the level of the soul. I'm going on a bit myself here, but how do you do it? It's dead simple. You sink into your heart. You breathe a feeling of openness and like care and compassion, a nice feeling into your heart. And you just say, please show me, my dear heart, please, Anam Cara, right? Show me, please, the best way to go forward here. This is not something that's outside of yourself. It's something that's working through you, right, and for you. Over to
And
you, my darling.
there's no hierarchy in that either.
No.
Like we're all exactly the same. I feel, Joe, every day like I am just a walking heart that's like wide open. Like, and when I see that in another human being, whatever the circumstance, it's so beautiful. Like what's happening now is beautiful as much as it is painful. And it is a powerful, powerful force, that love that's moving through us. Our biggest block is just to believe that it's right and that we are not less for that. We're more.
I agree entirely. And people think power, where they become strong and they can go and take over the world and become important and all that sort of business, And I think it's the power that we're feeling is such a gentle, compassionate, and it's the holy mother of mothers, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's got physiological correlates as well, meaning that your body will change also. And there's people going through massive physical change. I am myself now. They're musculoskeletal. They're musculoskeletal. All of them may be feeling in pain, but that's just because the soul is trying to sort of embody itself within your physical structure. And because there's all sorts of gunge that's blocked us up all of our life because of incorrect beliefs and stuff like that. It's actually like a drill trying to clear the channels, like what do you call that thing where the big hydraulic drill where it blows out all the shit? Well,
You're asking me.
yeah.
I
But it's
barely know
like
what
that
you
that sort of shit unblocker. Well, that's what's happening, really. It's this energy's coming in, the energy of the soul, right? And it's pushing through all the crap that we're keeping hold of. And it's saying, let go because there's good stuff coming. Just get your head out of the way and allow the process to happen. And that's why people are suffering pain. So things like, and you mentioned sin from the Greek apparently just means out of alignment or to miss the target. So this energy is coming in now to go boop, boop, boop. It's like a master mechanic. And it's going, here, just let me get in there a bit. Here, just turn left, go on, put your end that way. And then suddenly all this shit gets unblocked and new power flows in. And as new power flows in, what then happens is new thoughts and new consciousness comes in. And Seanin, this is what I'm seeing more than anything else. And it's not to be a good person or a bad person. It's just to be yourself. But as this new consciousness comes in, conscientiousness comes in as well, right? That's riding on the back of this. So I'm going to say a word here that people won't like it, but we need to move away from this external moral code that we've been given by others. We need to get shut of that and work from this internal moral code, which will guide us in a specific purpose to do the job that we signed up for before we even came here. Over to you, darling.
I have to follow a wee feeling of love in my body all day long. I am literally designed not to plan anything. Like that's the way my brain is. I can't do with plans. And if I do have to deal with plans, I just collapse them in my brain because I know they're only there for me to feel something through. And then it's like, right, I've got a plan, right? What's behind that? I'll feel the feeling and then it'll disappear. Eventually get to that point where it's just those feelings that you're following. And that's where God consciousness exists. It's inside of that heart. And what we've been taught is right is sometimes a denial of ourself. And for those who were never, this is important, those who were never loved properly do not understand what it means to love themselves. And they also do not know who they are. And I struggled with that for years, right? So I have the greatest empathy and compassion and respect for that. You know what's right for you because you can feel it, the end. It doesn't require putting your head on it. You just go, right, do you feel a thing? Follow the thing you feel, right? Just feel the thing and follow the thing. It's not that hard, right? It's not that hard. And where roles we've played for other people, this is the big one that's coming in readings at the minute. Roles we've played for other people are all getting ripped away right now, right? Because we may not be aware of it. We may be getting hoodwinked, right? We may have our energy getting drained from us playing these roles for other people right now. And everybody is going to get pulled away from those roles because we have to stay with ourselves and source, universe, God, and clear out all of that now. So where it looks like we're doing a disservice to step away from people's expectations, we are in fact moving and elevating into our greater self. And I know you said we can't fast track anyone. I kind of can, right? What has been coming down with me has been really, really quick and clear and really, really conscientious and very detailed. But the reality is, we're all doing the exact same thing, and I'm telling everybody the exact same bloody thing. You come away from every role, you say no to everything that is making you feel drained, no matter whether it's right or wrong or good or bad, right? And you be with yourself and you feel your dang feelings, right? And then you get told things, you get shown things, and you're following love and joy, and you are moving away from what you used to be into what you really are, who you were when you were 8. And I guarantee you now, right, that once you do that, everybody else around you will have shifted as well, because you are no longer keeping them locked in the reality of victim or the reality of persecutor that you are allowing by continuing to play that role for them. No one needs rescued apart from yourself. And
I agree.
everything around you is a reflection of yourself. What are you signing up for? Where are you compromising? Stop compromising. The universe, the energy that's coming down so strong right now is doing such a good job of doing everything it needs to. You don't need anybody else. You, nature, your art, on the grass, under a tree. The end.
You don't half go on, and you'd always have done. Right, but I agree. And regarding the fast track thing, I don't think that it's us fast tracking them, but it's
No.
giving them the information
Yes.
to allow them to fast track themselves, because
Yes.
otherwise we're still sort of locked on then to external guidance, you know. And
Yeah.
people say to me, what do I need to do here? And I say, don't ask me what you need to do, because if it doesn't work out regarding your expectations, you're going to blame me. So that's taking away the power of choice from you. So all I'm saying is go back in there. That's all I'm going to show you. It's only a suggestion. You don't have to do it. Go in there, because that's where you need to find out the information to take the action on. And the other thing is, and don't overanalyze it. Just
No.
go with the feeling and go with that feeling of flow. And if it
Yeah.
makes you feel open and happy and joyful, that's
Yeah.
probably the only indication you need. But the head comes in, yes, but what will they think of me? And I can assure you that in a very miraculous way, they're envious of you, right? And somewhere down the line, they may be just watching you and starting to take little actions themselves, right? In their own journey, you know. I think that we came here, we wrote the script of the heroes and the heroines' journey. And this is basically like Jason and the Argonauts finding the golden fleece. And they have to go and meet all sorts of snaky like people like Medusas and all this sort of stuff. It's all part of the plan in order to realize just how powerful we are from within. You know,
I
I think, and the other thing, Seanin, is my thing is, and I'm very strict with myself on this. People can do what they feel, but I just live a day at a time. I just live a day at a time. And at the end of the day, no matter what's gone on, I'll sit there, do a personal inventory, have a look at it, and then I'll wipe the slate clean. And the next morning, I always wake up with a clean sheet. Well, that's not true. I'm talking about a clean sheet of paper. Sometimes my sheet's not clean, but you know.
I
So,
used I used to
well,
talk about this a lot, right? I need to say this, but really quickly. I've always said the truth is love, right? Telling the truth to yourself is the greatest love you can give yourself, right? But then also love is the only truth. And the reality we're moving into is playful, free, open, joyful. The God we've perceived is not this persecuting God. It's an equalizing energetic. It's a consciousness that we all share that is inherently childlike in nature.
absolutely.
And it's a laugh. Like
Right.
it's meant to be a world that is playful and free and open and accepting and forgiving. And there is nothing about us that can keep us out of that except our own choices. Like, and free will choice is everything, but divine will right now has a hand in everything that we're given. So it's not, we can't take anything that's happening to us personally. We can't think, I'm being rejected, I'm being abandoned, I'm being left out, I am not going to be included in all of this. this joyful new future is not going to be part of me. That's not the truth. That's the opposite is the case. Everything is being designed so we will turn within and choose love over and over and over again. And projecting our own emotions out on other people is not part of that love, right? Holding up other people's beliefs is not part of that love. Denying our innocence is also not part of that love, right? And where we might not be feeling any of it right now, it's only because we're being cleaned out.
Yeah.
And that's going to happen super quick. Like, it's not difficult. It is. It's just a case of, being self-responsible.
Learning to let go, isn't it? And detaching with love. And it's
Yeah.
hard, it's hard to see other people suffering, right?
Yeah.
And still carrying on in the same old automatic patterns and becoming more and more and more ill and more unhappy. But the point is, sometimes they need to hit that so-called rock bottom in order to feel the pain that causes them to let go with both hands. And Seanin, I still do it. There's certain things going on in my own life where I jump in and make suggestions and then I get attacked for it. You know what I mean? I think, Joe, what's the lesson here for you is keep your fucking gob closed, Joe. Just watch and shut up. And it's hard for me to do because it hurts me to see other people suffering. It really does. And to tell you what really hurts me, to see animals suffering as well. Christ, it breaks me bloody heart. We've got 2 cats. They're going through hell. They're being affected too by this shift because it's an energetic process that's going on. So animals are being affected, right? It's hard to see them suffering as well. And I've got my mum. She's 93 years of age, going on to 94. She's in a terrible state. And there's part of me that says, please, God, if you're not too busy, will you listen to what I'm saying to you? Can you let her go now? And the message I got is no, Joe, because your mother's still got lessons to learn. And I think, well, that seems cruel to me. And the sort of message you get back is, yes, it would seem cruel to you, Joe, from where you're looking at it. Oh, I think, okay, just being told off. Can I just say something else? There's another phrase is, if you don't want to fight, don't get into the boxing ring. But it doesn't mean to say that you won't be protected. You don't have to fight anymore. You're not doing the fight. But it doesn't mean to say that you don't need to take actions, right, to make yourself secure. That's not a fight. That's called taking actions to defend yourself, right? It's a completely different thing. To me, a fight is an emotional reaction based upon an old pattern that's not given the second thought, right? It's really important that, And I think if we call the fight and flight response the defense arousal response, it brings a different sort of an understanding to it, really. Over to you. Advantage Delaney.
See, when I was first, when I was effing up all over the shop a couple of years ago, because I kept calling people out and getting mad about stuff, right?
Yeah.
It used to really hurt me when I got kind of hammered with, you need to do this, you need to do that, and then sort of patronized down. It really upset me because I was like, and I used to get a lot of that, and I'd be like, why is this happening to me? And I'm not projecting, I'm telling a story, right? But it was a whole thing for me where it was like, I feel like I'm being belittled here. I feel like I am less in the eyes of the world right now because of the mistakes I've made and all of the instruction that seems to be coming at me, and because I am getting everything wrong. And they used to wind me the hell up. I'd be really upset about this, and I isolated my way. I took myself away for years because of it, because I felt I'd received no equalizing compassion. I hadn't, just being honest, you were the only one. I remember you coming and speaking to me just like a human being, like I was a normal human being, and this is a normal part of the experience. And you just tell me straight what the crack was. And I loved that. That saved me, frankly. Because I could have gone down a completely different route had I not had that respect. And I think what is difficult for anyone who's going through really intense awakening right now is seeing people acting unbothered, right? Because it's not an unbothered state. It's just that knowing what's happening, having a sense that what is happening is designed, and having respect for each person's journey and what it is that they're being shown inside of that. We're not meant to disrupt. And I didn't get that back in the day, and I used to get so upset. It used to really hurt me. And I think that's part of the human experience as well. You know, I hope for a future where when, you know, we're all coming into this knowledge, and I feel like it is mainstream are transforming really, really fast right now. And I've seen it on my TikTok. There's like, I've got views like 76K people on one video where I'm talking about this awakening process. And I'm hoping that we can remember to like stay down to earth
Yeah.
and stay ourselves and speak in human terms about this experience. We're not alienating the mass. Like, I mean, the idea of like spirituality being this like ecclesiastical kind of hierarchical order is done and dead, and it doesn't serve anybody. And I got that message earlier in the week too. Like when we show up now, it's human terms, compassion, humility, respect, and respect deeply for a human being on any level at any point. You know, the degradation, humiliation, persecution of the human being is done. It doesn't serve anybody. And I
All
know that
right.
because I do that myself.
All right. There's a question for you then. Do we have to take shit then?
No, definitely not.
I've
No,
had
but
people
there's a
on to
way.
me, right? You know, people have been on to me, right? And they've said to me, they said, can I have a chat with you? And I think, okay, fair enough. And they get on and then they start to tell me what I should be doing, right?
Yeah.
And they really hammer the point of what they're really doing is they're saying, this is the way I see it, right? And wouldn't it be good if everybody acted like this? But they tell, and you should do this and you should do that. Well, as soon as they do that, I say, because I open my heart and I say, fuck off and get out of me fucking face, right? And then they say things like, no, no, this is true and this has happened to me, right? I've still got the recordings of people like saying this to me, right?
Yeah.
And then they say to me, you're not a Christian, you're not acting like a Christian. I said, no, no, and that's because I'm not a Christian, thank you. I'm a soul, right? Well, just like you're a soul, right? There's no labels on me. This is
No.
just the way I feel. And by the way, so and so, if I'm
Yeah.
wrong, I'll come back to you and I'll say, I'm sorry. I was totally wrong there, right? I hope you'll forgive me. And if they say, I'll never forgive you, I'll say, fuck off and get out of my face.
We
And
need that. We need that. That's part of being human here, right, Joe? It is.
course. And it's not to offend. That's the defense. Like, you know,
Yeah.
people talk about, you know, setting borders. I haven't got any borders until I need a border, right? That's the whole point of it, really. You know, I'm not going there to say use me and abuse me. I've done that all my life, and I've done it to other people as well, right? Otherwise, had I not done it to other people, I wouldn't be able to see both sides of the equation, right?
Mhm.
Seanin, in my drinking, I was a first class twat, right? You know, and I know the feeling that goes with it when it comes, right? When it comes in, it's like, ooh, you don't want to think, you don't want to be messing with me. But that energy now can be used for proper purpose, you know, and that's why loads and loads of like criminals, there's criminals who listen to this. They're taking their expertise now and they're being guided to use their expertise for good purpose. That's the way it works as far as I can see it. What do you think about that?
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Honestly, like I have a cheeky side to me, right? And
No.
I suppressed that for years, right? Because I was under this impression that I had to behave myself and be good. But because I've tried absolutely everyone's teachings on earth, because as an autistic you do that, right? I tried that floating away off into the ethers and not connecting with people and pointing the finger at the unawakened ones, and that didn't work, right? And then because it just created chaos inside of me, right? And then I tried to being very, very human and denying the divinity in myself, and that created chaos. And then I embrace the parts of me that are cheeky and rebellious and sensual and open and not the norm. And my frequency went right up, right? We're here to love that human being we are and embrace it and realize once you have done that, like you can't really make a mistake then. Like you don't protect your peace, it becomes chaos internally. Chaos internally becomes chaos externally. Like, and you have to be sharp with that. Like I had the choice to turn into an absolute arse. Like, and there were times in my life where I was one. Like I was a real bitch. Right. And I was also very dramatic and very emotionally reactive. And I used to like I'd flip out at everything. I was very controlling. I had like somewhat borderline tendencies because of what I grew up with, right? And I had this propensity towards like always trying to prove my point, always trying to be right, and being very, very threatened by deep feelings. Like if I felt anything deeply, it was scary to me. And I would poke people to get their attention rather than be there for them. I couldn't see the selfishness of my own mindset. It took years to work that out of myself, like to not be so aggressive and to have that fight inside of myself. But the more I chose differently and took responsibility for my feelings and didn't dump them on other people, the more powerful I became. Like my emotions are an energetic that can be transmuted. And now that I have done quite a lot of that lately, right? I'm in a really powerful place. And the cheeky part of me, the aggressive part of me, it's still there, but for, as you said, powerful purpose.
Yeah. I didn't like this when I was showing this, but they said to me through a book reading and stuff like that, it went like this: selfishness, self-centeredness,
Yeah.
that we think is the root of all our problems. It's called egocentricity. Driven by 100 forms of fear, we step on the toes of our fellows and they retaliate, seemingly without provocation. But we invariably find that at some time in the past, we have placed ourselves in this position to be harmed. That's called the law of karma, right? And there's short-term and long-term anti-correlations. Here's the quantum science that goes with this. Because if you did something, and let's say for the moment, past lives and timelines do exist. Let's say that at some time, 3,500 years ago in the past, you did something there, right? This would be a long-term anti-correlation coming up. It would create an image and a situation in this lifetime now where we have to make the correct choice in order to put down, a mistake that happened 3,500 years ago. That's what's happening now. People call it timeline collapse, but the good thing about it is if you stick with your feelings and you understand that it's got nothing to do with anybody else, it's a choice that you need to make now to either neutralize and balance the situation, right? Then that's what's actually happening. I know that's gone a bit deep, that there, but I know that this is happening for everybody. Nobody's getting off, because if you look in yoga terms now, out of Kali, so we're in Kali Yuga now, which is basically hell, right? It's basically aligned with Sodom and Gomorrah, right? And we've all in this for experience. It's aligned now with what would love do next, right? And the only way you can know what love will do next in this moment of time, this present moment, is to feel it, and take the action on it. Now, Seanin, love for you might be the opposite action for me. That's very important, that, because otherwise we're just standardized, automated robots that just like, one of nine, and all that sort of business. So it's about feeling and saying and developing this really deep connection with this innateness and saying, what do I need to do here in order to realign myself? Please show me as clear as you can. Then let it go. And you walk along in the day and suddenly out of the blue comes a bump, turn left right now, right? And you turn left and a new alignment comes in, a new consciousness comes in. I know I've gone on a bit there, but that's how I see this happening. It's
It is
almost
like
like a reintegration and a remerging with our soul's purpose.
a computer game.
Absolutely,
Like
absolutely, and
you
utterly.
can't go that where when you hit your greatest resistance, you're moving up from level 1 to level 2. Like it's that greatest resistance is like sort of where you have no choices, or like you kind of have to fall back on the non-thinking state, and that's when everything starts to shift. I got visuals of this. I also had like I've had like guides come in from like future timelines to help me lift mine up into the next one. Um, Super adepts as well, like people showing me things. I've had visuals come in to do with my day, and if I don't follow through on that, right, then I get stuck for a couple of hours, and I was like, oh bugger, right, now I have to go back on the thing I got shown,
Yeah.
in order for it to lift. And I think people are expecting like, oh, you shift and like everything feels all sparkly and wonderful. No, your mood just lifts first. It starts with moods and then it becomes energetics. There's a different energetic then that you're embodying. and you stay up there if you continue to allow yourself to release as you go. Like I have the streaming tears hours, and then I have the dancing my way around the place hours. I go for miles around Brighton just dancing and listening to music, right? And then that's when the ego comes back up again, and there'll be something else that'll trigger me, and I'll have to clear it. And I've realized that everything in my outside reality is lying to me, but I have to buy into certain realities for a time so I can clear whatever it's showing me internally. And that was a big one to learn, where it's like, right, I'm shown something here that's really horrible, brilliant. So I have to just sit there and pretend like it's really happening, right? And so it'll all come out of my system, and then the reality will shift again. It's we're being guided though, like it's good crack if you sort of like let yourself go a bit. I'd
I
be like, you
agree.
know what, that's it. Like if things are that hard, F it. You know what I mean?
So
Best,
these you talked before about that we'd
yeah,
be tested and we may be offered things,
yeah.
right? So do you think they're the temptations? And do you think that that's almost like the emotional, where our desire body is being shown certain things that we can have, which will guide us away from what we need? These will be the temptations. Like, for example, money, power, prestige,
Yeah.
sex, all these sort of little temptations coming in, right?
Dead things. Dead things.
Absolutely.
It's all dead energy. All dead energy, and it can all be destroyed because it doesn't come from creator consciousness. It's everything that man has created. You choose anything from unconsciousness, it's more unconsciousness it'll birth. And then you will lose all of yourself inside of that. And you'll be back at the start again.
Okay. I was going to say that.
Yeah.
So you don't really lose everything, but you do get put back a few million, a few million years. But Janine, if there's no such thing as time, where does that one come in?
I would hope, right, that what that question confuses me. There's no such thing as time. Well, there's not any such thing as time. That's right. But for the human mind, there is. And that urgency is what needs to be cleared from the body.
So that
Right.
thing
The
I put it
choice is
before,
making between.
sorry. So that thing before is, there's a new word on the block. It's called accelerationism, right? And
Yes.
this great shift is coming in. It's sometimes called the quickening, right?
Yeah.
However, if we can hold our ground by letting go, it's not by hanging on to, right?
No.
It's by letting go and staying in the center of the whirlwind.
Yeah.
I've got Dorothy coming in now from the Yellow Brick Road. She's coming in.
Of course you do.
Yeah, yeah.
I've had that a couple of
As you
times.
do, Dorothy's in. I've just got my shoes on. So, you know, in that sort of calm, you almost like become a watcher of your own show.
Yeah.
And you really do get a bigger menu of options with which to choose from.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like you have to take exactly the right choice. There's all sorts of subtle differences, which will bring a positive outcome anyway. So you do get a whole like big expanded menu of, I think I'll have fish and chips today rather than pork fried rice and stuff like that. So I do think that there's like a general scheme, which is the soul's design, right, of which there's no change in, right? But I think that you can either have a cup of tea or a cup of coffee with milk and sugar if you want to, or you can use soy milk. It's entirely how you feel at the moment, if you're being totally honest with yourself.
Yeah.
Can I make a direction a change here? Because you and I have had shared visions over the years, haven't we? I'll never forget, and it's with me now, the Joseph of Arimathea one, right, with Mary Magdalene and all that sort of stuff, pulling up in the south of France somewhere and and all that. I can't explain all that, but that just means to me that there's things going on beyond which the human mind can't possibly comprehend. And then
But
it
the
took
heart
me,
can feel it. The heart can feel it.
yeah, yeah, well, that's it. The heart has its reasons, of which reason knows nothing. Oh, look, I'm nearly going to cry when I've said that there again. So the heart knows. Let go of your head and into your heart and
Yeah.
feel what it's trying to guide you towards. It's bigger than you. You can't tell it. You can ask it. You can say, look, I'm in the shit here. I wonder if you could send me some inspiration. So
Do it.
what the ego works from instinct. So the ego, it feels a threat coming up. Instinct kicks in. Instinct then decides the intellect, so it guides our thinking. However, when we jettison that We feel the grip of the first thought, and rather than going forward with it, we take a step back. Then intuition comes in, then that's the heart, and then inspiration. And then we start to live a life that's more guided by intuition and inspiration. That, in my view and in my feeling, is the way forward for humanity.
Over the last 8 months, everything in my life has been some form of prophecy. Conversation, songs, poetry, everything was directing me towards a certain place if I paid attention. You know, there's art in the detail. And then I got told, you wrote this. And that made it a lot easier then, where I was like, oh, so I wrote this, right? And I was like, well, I know the ending then. Like, what's true for me? Like, what end is my end? Do you know what I mean? Like, that's what one speaks to my heart. And just holding on to that.
I love that. And that brings me to the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam, the moving finger having writ moves on, right?
Yeah.
So it's a script, isn't it? It's a script. It's associated with how our DNA is scripted. And we can go back from the heart and we can almost re-engineer and remove the obstructions that have stopped us from going forward. This is, see, look, it's see, that's coming through now. Oh, fuck, that's coming through. See, I don't get too involved with all that, whether it be Pleiadians coming in or it's normally Syrians with me and stuff like that, and Andromedans, but they're in all the time and they sort of knock me on the head. And then this comes through, you see, and that's coming through really powerfully now. And when this started to happen to me, I wasn't that surprised because it's been with me all my bloody life. As a child, my mother used to say, Joseph, stop being stupid and talking like that. And I had to try and explain to her, I can't help it, Mom, it's just coming through, you know. So obviously we're set up for these things. And I'm just saying to people watching now, if all these things, when you're humming along, and all this other stuff starts coming out, it's a good thing. You're not cracking up.
No,
Actually, you're expanding and opening up. So just be yourself, right? Be yourself. On that light language thing as well, people will start to see things now. They'll actually see pictures clear, like films going on in their head, like a reel. That's a good thing too. So there's all these things. And also telepathy is becoming really, really strong now in lots and lots of people, you know. So you know, people for some reason trust me. All I'm saying is, I'm not joking now. This is Dr. Serious Joe having a go. Just to say, you're not cracking up. Don't be taking any tablets now to keep you suppressed, right? Just feel your way through it. By all means, take the advice of health professionals, but feel your own way through and talk to people who may be a little bit further along the journey than you are. I think that's the way to go forward.
I have complete faith, Joe.
I have complete faith 99.9% of the way, but I think doubting Thomas was probably the most intelligent of the 12 disciples. I think, because I think it needs that sort of fly in the ointment or that bit of grit, right? It needs that just to stop us so that we can refine and sink deeper into letting go of what's obstructing the truth. I've got no idea what I've just said there, but it sounded all right. So we've got like, in the great scheme of things, we've got about 7 minutes to go. What's emerging now, old bean? By the way, I'm going to say this. I fucking love you and I adore you so much. We've shared many, many experiences together. And that's why I put on the thing an old flame, you know, so whatever that means, you know, but I don't get too locked into the stories anymore. But I do know that there's all sorts of different backstories guiding what's happening now in this present moment.
Oh, I love you too, Joe.
I know.
We've I think we've been waiting for this time for a long time, me and you.
Yeah, and I do think, you know, and we're not the only ones, obviously. We've got a message to carry. It's our job, if you like, to let go of our heads and just express ourselves, right? Because I call this the editor, you know, it jumps in. It's almost like a stream coming in, Right. And this jumps in to say, oh, you can't say that. And I have to say now, just get out the way. It's coming through. I don't care. Go on, Wolfie. What are you saying?
Era dayara kondave wahiromas era si sayarahas iva onat. Kan kariotovrais ekaiert is isatiat ivoro os it oman. Quaekas isi. Lem sirava irakonda irahama esisan irot ovai ikat era ai vi anemet. I think that's it.
Right. My go now.
Yeah. Thanks, Joe.
A moisio or am nicht shay, a chora samti helam nicht. Jibaram or a churm kisab nikroshum dirama. Liorum tach na hood, hasam diram uratache, muram jeram necht de churm dat sikerma. Alla diramos sandikarab, hakun su yam diga, oram de shay mat ot mera nu. Mara toch na head. Ha. Oh. Very emotional.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's time. We should do some of these, if you feel like it, when they pop up. How are you feeling about that?
Very happy. I'm getting so much coming through at the minute, Joe. It would be helpful to have somewhere to put it.
No problem. And I also get, and I have to say to them, it's whatever it is, you'll have to make more time for me then because I've got too much going on. They said, going on TikTok, and I think, oh, no.
You have
Do
to.
I have to? And
So
they go,
good. I love it. I love it. People are so sweet. Oh, I love it so much. They're all so cute, Joe.
Yeah.
They're just all so cute and so down to earth, and there's none of your bullshit. I swear, it's so nice on there. Everybody's like, hi. They're all chat.
Well, it looks like this old bastard, right, is going on TikTok. So
Yay!
we'll see what emerges from that. Seanin, my love, have a lovely, lovely rest of the day. And thanks everybody for listening. And
Thanks,
hopefully see you soon. Bye, darling.
Bye.
Bye.